Blackhawks #2, written by Mike Costa, art by Graham Nolan and Trevor McCarthy, on layouts and finishes respectively. We last left off with Kunoichi, one of the Blackhawk agents, realizing that she has, they call them nanocytes. They're just basically nanobots inside of her body that are doing something or another. This issue picks up, they're out on a mission. I think this might have actually happened in the last issue, but the prison that was holding a bunch of baddies basically got blown up, and now they're going to investigate and deal with it. We are introduced to our final agent, I believe, Lady Blackhawk. She did not make an appearance last issue, and she's just talking, saying like, all right, so we're not allowed to hold prisoners as Blackhawks. We're just a UN military group, so we have to send them off to actual militaries. And when they invariably let these super baddies out because they can't deal with them themselves, then we show up and deal with it again. So the dude who's in charge, I believe Lincoln, I'm still struggling with all the names here. Lincoln is still talking to the UN guy, and he's like, hey, so maybe amend our agreement so that we can hold prisoners, because that would be really helpful. He's like, dude, I'm here because you broke your protocol and got seen by the public. There are videos on YouTube of Kunoichi just there, and your symbol, and you messed up. And he's like, look, we did protocol perfectly. Kunoichi accidentally breached protocol, or breached the perimeter, and we had to go get her. Protocol was followed. Can't you guys just delete this thing off the internet? And the UN guy's like, do you know how the internet works? Meanwhile, we get back to this prison that blew up. They're doing some scans and stuff. Kunoichi's wearing some extra gear so that whatever's up with her is contained. Lady Blackhawk's not picking up any sort of radiation, which is strange because an explosion this size should be somewhat radioactive. But she has her eyes in the sky scanning for any satellites that may have passed overhead in case it was like an orbital strike. But that's going to have to wait because a giant, like, black amorphous looking ship shows up and starts firing down upon the Blackhawks team on the ground. So they're trying to draw fire away in their own ship, and it sends out one dude named Titus, who is on the cover of the issue. Yeah, that way. And he's just, a general, like, badass of like, yes, I will take care of them. The mission must not be compromised, blah, blah, blah. He runs in, just starts buzzsawing through everybody with these weird, like, elbow blades he's got, and is literally killing, like, multiple members of the team. I believe it's Irish is the name. Irish comes in, he's like, oh, I can stop him, and he gets an arm chopped off. Lady Blackhawk comes in, manages to do a little bit of damage and hold her own, but it's still not a winning strike. The dudes in the plane are able to look at their vitals. Irish is plummeting. He's losing his blood and heartbeat fast. Meanwhile, Kunoichi, her body temperature is fluctuating all over the place. Her heart's going crazy, and they don't know what's going on. But Kunoichi gets up, runs over, manages to barehandedly pull off some of Titus's armor. Titus is like, what did you do? And he takes out his own power cell so that he doesn't overheat, which is just enough for Lady Blackhawk to then start unloading on him with a gun. Titus realizes that the only way that Kunoichi could have done that is if she has the nanocytes inside of her. So he starts gloating as if he's won. Lady Blackhawk immediately calls for evac because of how many casualties they've had, and they have now someone that they can interrogate. But the ship, the eye in the sky that they had, was captured by the big black amorphous ship that dropped off Titus. So they lost contact with them. So they get a one-time special agreement to hold prisoners. They hold Titus here, and they're like, hey, so you've been here for 14 hours. We have lost our 2 men for our 14 hours. You've also killed a bunch of them, so you better start talking. Lady Blackhawk actually kicked you so hard you had brain damage, but you managed to heal from it. So what is that? And it's like, it's the same thing inside your girl in there. It's like, what's that? Nanocytes. And then immediately Lady Blackhawk takes Kunoichi and is like, you got nano? Did you know this? And she throws him into isolation so that, she's not a threat to anybody around. And Lincoln keeps talking, and it's like, all right, so what do these nanocytes do? We've made nanocytes before. They aren't, like, they're not that bad. It's like, oh, no, not these nanocytes. These nanocytes literally will end the world, because of course they will. So Kunoichi's in a hospital room, and she's just like, come on, guys, at least let me help. And they're like, no, you have nanobots inside you. Like, you can't be around anything that you could accidentally or not knowingly transmit to some third party. So we've given you basically a backup of the entire internet. You can spend your time with that. And she's like, oh, great, I can look at a bunch of lolcats. Fantastic. She actually says lolcats. This book is amazingly modern, at least for the time of 2011. And she actually sees the video of herself on YouTube. She's like, wait a minute, that's me. So then we cut back to the ship that was taken. They're blinded temporarily so that they can't see where they're going. But, like, the captors seem to be actually pretty good to them. They're like, oh, like, yes, you're our prisoners, but, like, we're not savages. You're prisoners of war. We're treating you right. So they bring them into the city. They restore their sight. And we see that it's this giant underground city. And then they say that you are here to see your future. And that is where the issue leads off. I like this issue, but I can't put my finger on why. Like, it hasn't done anything in particular that I'm like, yes, that's great, that's fantastic. It's just, I think it's just an overall fun sort of issue, you know? Like, it's just like, oh, yep, they have a fight scene, and then it's just setting up the future stuff moving forward with the nanobots. And I like how, I feel like Mike Costa actually does, he strikes me as the kind of guy, just based off of this writing, who actually does keep up with, like, meme culture and stuff like that, which is hilarious to see written in here. But no, I'm very much down with this. The art, it does feel weird at sometimes because there are two artists, and you can tell some of them follow the same style as the first issue, whereas other panels are definitely the second artist. And it can be a little bit jarring, especially because they stay, like, literally within the same page it changes, but maybe that's just me. So no, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 6. It's not bad by any means. I'm definitely down with Blackhawks, which I am very surprised by. I still have to learn their names, and they're not doing a good job of repeating those names, so that's kind of a flaw on its own. But in terms of art, in terms of story, I'm interested, to say the least, so that's got to count for something.